Alright guys, we got a very special episode this week. We're going to forego the normal conversation. We just wanted to give you guys a heads up on some of the bands that we really think you just need to hear. And we've been doing this site now for almost 6 months, and we've discovered some bands that we probably wouldn't have found otherwise. And I think, we really need to share, our feelings on some of these new bands that you just have to hear, bands that you got to get in now because they're going to be huge. Mm-hmm. So Murmaider, I know you wanted to start it off.
Yep.
So what do you got?
Well, I think the number one band that you guys need to hear, Mastodon.
Oh, wait, Murmaider.
What?
This is supposed to be new bands.
Oh.
Like bands they might not have heard
of. Oh, yeah,
of.
that's what I meant. New bands, right. Okay. Well, the one that I would suggest first off checking out for sure is Black Sun Aeon. These guys are from Finland. We have a review on them, and I can't get enough of the album. The album's called Rauta. But they're a new band that the guitar work is just so amazing. The riffs are so heavy, and there's really a lot of mixture between, I guess, progressive and black metal, kind of. A lot of repetitive chugging, and at the same time, there's clean singing and growling mixed together. And the clean singing actually reminds me of My Dying Bride. Some of it very depressive, clean vocals, and then but then he comes right in with this like heavy growling, almost from something like Opeth or Orphanland. That's one of my main ones though that I would say you have to check them out. Black Sun Aeon, look them up. Their album Rauta. Hell22. What would you say is one of the bands you would suggest?
Well, first and foremost, I kind of wanted to bring up Brimir. Name of the album is Breathe Fire to the Sun.
Okay.
These guys are from Finland, 6-piece band, and I don't even know how to describe what is on the album. I mean, I think the review kind of says it all, but it's a melting pot. They've got everything. Mm-hmm. They take like the guitar, bass, and drums, and they just take it to new levels. Atmospheric keyboards, growling vocals, some clean vocals. I mean, it's just a really powerful album. And I don't even remember how I stumbled upon this band. It certainly wasn't using the site Stumble Upon. But when I found this, I remember like hitting play and kind of going like, well, it looks cool. Breathe Fire to the Sun, that's a cool album name. I hit play, and I think the first track came by, and then the second track, and then all of a sudden the album was over. And I remember kind of thinking, wow, I just went through like an hour album, and it just felt like nothing because everything just flows together so well. Definitely a band you have to check out. And actually, next week, you're going to have an interview with them as well, with Jarkko, the bass player from Brimir.
Yep.
So see what he has to say about some of the questions we had for him. But definitely check out that album. Murmaider, what's next on your list?
I have here the band Skogen, which we've talked about in the past before. Band is from Sweden. The album that I specifically like to talk about is Svitjad. This is like original black metal. It's got raw recordings, and that's what I love about it, is that it's so unclear, but that's what makes it so clear, if that makes sense. And very atmospheric, but at the same time there's explosive double bass pedaling going on. The evil growling is just so demonic and just echoes throughout the album, and it's really powerful. Definitely one of my favorite black metal bands overall that I've been listening to. And again, this is just a new band. I'm really curious to see what they do next and where they go from here. What's another one on your list, L22?
Well, more recently, I was really blown away by an Italian power metal band. The name of the band is Infinita Symphonia. Name of the album was A Mind's Chronicle. And this, again, we talk about power metal and how there's basically two tiers of power metal. There's the really great power metal bands, Blind Guardian, Stratovarius, and then there's kind of everyone else. And unfortunately, much like your journey through black metal, you find that there are so many posers. Bands that are kind of doing the genre but not really well, or it's really generic, or we've come across a lot of that. This band, it's progressive power metal at its best. And I would venture to say that, as far as the best power metal albums of the year, this one gives Stratovarius a run for its money. I couldn't believe the production on this album. And the band formed in 2008, so we're only talking a band that's 3 years old. And the power on the album is just incredible. The kick drums just shake your rib cage. The vocals are so strong. The guy's got just incredible voice. I mean, he could do opera if he wanted to. I mean, it's just incredible. And you know you're doing something right when you've got Fabio Leone from Rhapsody of Fire does a song on the album. They got Tim Ripper Owens, formerly of Judas Priest, Iced Earth, he does a track on the album. So when you get guys like that to be on basically what is your debut, you're doing something right. So that's definitely, you guys got to check these guys out. Infinita Symphonia, A Mind's Chronicle. Definitely get your hands on a copy of that one, because if you like progressive power metal, if you think Dream Theater should do power metal, this is the band for you. Now, Murmaider, one thing that's important to mention is that we're not doing these in any order.
Right.
You know, not like the first one we mentioned is the top and whatever.
Right.
These are just kind of, you know, we're just kind of putting them together, your list and my list, but in no particular order.
Right.
So what was next on your list?
Actually, I had another black metal band, Hinzadig, which is another one that we've gone over in the past couple podcasts, and they're another one of my favorites. This one's a lot more atmospheric, very similar. Well, they're from Norway. They're one of the few Norwegian bands and for black metal, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of the album, but it's their newest album out right now. Check it out. It blew me away. Like I said, the recording is raw, just like a lot of the other black metal bands, just like the one I talked about before. And I mean, you know me, I went on this rampage of black metal bands for a good month probably, where I was just listening to that. And but for a new band, I'm definitely curious where this goes as well, and see what they come out with next. What was another one on your list?
The next one I wanted to bring up was Project Masquerade. This was actually the main man of this band, Newt Smeets, contacted us to review the album, and I'll admit, when I looked at the lineup, I mean, I had no real knowledge of his previous work or anything, and I looked at the guys on the album, didn't recognize anything, and I was a little worried. But from the minute I hit play, this is 6 tracks of just metal glory. And the key to the whole thing is that it's really diverse. I mean, he's a guitar player, and this isn't a guitar solo album where it's solo after solo, but they don't make sense in the flow of the song. All the songs really come together well because he's got great backing musicians. And I think my favorite part of the album was all of the guest singers that he had on there. One song the guy's singing in a kind of a typical melodic rock style, and then the next one the guy's got this like deep black metal growling. And then the next one, the guy's singing, and the one after that, the guy's doing screeching vocals. I mean, it's very diverse, very a wide variety of different styles on the album. The name of the album is Nothing But Everything Will Remain. So you definitely got to check that out if you like, some good, guitar metal and some heavy drums. It's definitely a good place to start.
Okay.
Now, Murmaider, please tell me. Do you have another black metal album?
No, actually, we're going to change things up a bit now. Well, I want to mention Tercival. The band Tercival is a pagan folk metal band from Argentina. One of the first reviews that I wrote for the site, and their album was For One Pagan Brotherhood, and it's very similar to Ensiferum and Hell22. It's really hard to pull off the pagan sound that I feel like there's so many bands that are trying to do it, but these guys were all about it, and they were all about, like, it was very uplifting and fun and like a party album almost. It was all about getting drunk and drinking beer and just partying and having a good time, and most of the songs were jolly with chanting and whatnot, but there was also some really vicious growling involved, a lot of double bass pedal and heavy guitar chugging. And it was really good. I definitely, had my head bobbing to the whole album, and definitely, if you're into pagan metal or folk metal, even types of Viking or anything like that, definitely check out Tercival. They're another upcoming band that's gonna do something for the metal world. But what else you got on your list there?
Well, since you brought up, some pagan folk, I'm going to go a little heavier. Right. I'm going to go for some Israeli blackened Viking folk death metal, which, of course, if you check the site, is the band Arafel. They are Soviet-born but living in Israel. I believe their violinist lives in Germany. But these guys just absolutely destroy the entire genre of metal. They do it all. I mean, there's thrash in there, there's death metal, screaming growls, there's blackened screeches, the guitars are heavy, double kicks, you name it, it's all in there. And this was one of the first bands that I remember reviewing where I had to listen to the album 6 or 7 or 8 times before I truly felt like I got the album, because there's just so much going on. And just really, the talent level is just incredible. The lead singer, Hell22, did an interview with us a couple weeks ago. He was actually in the band Equilibrium, which is another Viking band, and just adding him into this mix is just, it was the icing on the cake. I mean, if you like death metal, if you like folk, if you like any of the above, check out this band, and I guarantee there'll be at least one song on the album that you'll like. The name of the album is For Battles Once Fought, which, kind of gives you that Viking pagan thought process. But definitely check that one out. I still, it's in my heavy rotation because I just can't get away from it. Murmaider, what's your last one?
Well, this band is kind of a stretch because they have been around for a couple years now, but I would still consider them really underground. Not a lot of people know about them. It's actually a side project of one of the members from Swallow the Sun, and the band name is Ghost Brigade. They're from Finland, and they put out a couple albums already, and every single one, they just keep getting better and better. I really don't know how to describe the genre-wise. I mean, I guess it's very similar, some of it, to, well, I can't even say a lot of it's similar to Swallow the Sun because they have a lot of clean singing involved also. Some of it's progressive, and the guitar work is just insane. The drumming, the drum fills, and the double bass pedaling. They incorporate everything together and really have put out some powerful albums so far. Like I said, they've been around for a couple of years, so I can't say that they are a brand new band compared to some of these other ones. But if you don't know Ghost Brigade, definitely check them out because and if you're a fan of Swallow the Sun too, I'm sure you're already aware. But they are definitely a band to check out. I would suggest. Well, that was 9, and you got one more there.
Got one more. We talk a lot about bands that kind of bend the genre, and one of the big bands that we've mentioned in that respect is Dimmu Borgir, and how they took traditional black metal and just turned it upside down, and they turned it into this symphonic masterpiece of metal. So much along the same line is the band Cromlech from Germany. Name of the album is Finisterra. And I would consider this basically the new wave of black metal. They took the traditional black metal elements, crystal clear production, and just made it heavy as fuck. And I think that listening to this album was another one that I had to just kind of sit back in my chair and kind of go, wow. Because young bands like this are what are going to redefine metal and keep it moving forward. They're not going to do the same old thing. And I think that's the one thing that all 10 bands that we've mentioned have in common is that they're not just doing the same old thing. They're taking the genre and they're trying to move it to new places, whether it be black metal, folk, or whatever. And Cromlech is definitely doing the same thing. They're taking black metal and just fusing it with so many different things, so many different elements, and just making an album that just, you just can't get enough of this stuff. So that was the 10. But basically this is a top 10 plus 1. And Murmaider, who's the plus 1?
The band is Alcest, which I know if you've been listening to our podcast, you heard us talk about them before, and we're probably going to talk about them again. But this band is just amazing. Well, first of all, it's a one-man band, correct? There were 2 other guys involved at one point, but right now it's just the one guy. And the music is it's post... it's definitely post-metal, right? Yeah,
post-metal. I guess that's the best way to call it.
Yeah, there's a lot of... there's definitely some black metal influences, because there are some sections where there is just nothing but just vicious growling and almost screechy, basically black metal growling that comes out of nowhere, because a lot of it is calm, soothing, clean singing throughout the album, but some of it that has the double bass comes blasting through with the dark guitars and like I said, his growling definitely impressed me the most.
I think you were the one who found this band for us, and I remember you kind of talking about it. It took me a while to even listen to the album, but the newest album came out last year. Ikai de Lune.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
It's French, obviously, and we are not, and we do not pronounce it very well. But that one is just a tremendous album. Those first two songs on there, which are Ikai de Lune Part 1 and 2, are two of the best tracks on any CD I've ever heard. It's just amazing that post-metal, black metal, progressive rock, it's kind of all there.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely changes it around.
And, he's got 3 albums out. Well, 2 albums and an EP. Before, the latest one was Souvenirs, which is, I guess, the translation is like Memories from the Other World, I believe is what I've been told. And before that was their original EP, Les Secret, which they just re-released. And they didn't just, fine-tune it a little bit. They re-recorded it.
Yeah.
And the new versions are just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
The recording is great. I mean, you're Mr. Audio here. The recording on it is fantastic, which kind of gives you that idea of how black metal would sound if everyone recorded it in a nice studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both agreed on this band, so we didn't want to, neither one of us wanted to steal it for our list.
Yeah, it's such a relaxing album, but yet at the same time you're shaken by some of the violence that they throw at you through the black metal tones, and I don't know. I can't stop listening to it. I've been listening to it nonstop. I know you've have it in your car and you've been playing it nonstop as well.
Yeah, that's been one of like the 4 albums that I can't get away from. No matter where I am, I need to have that album on me just in case.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to be seeing them in a couple weeks.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how excited we are to see them live because I can't wait. I mean, whatever he plays, whatever the band puts out live is going to be fantastic. And
definitely,
that's a band you guys have to listen to. And we are fans of music as you are, so we just happen to write about it. But we're finding these bands, and this is it's been unbelievable. So hopefully, out of the 10, 11 bands that we just gave you, hopefully there's a couple in there that that you like, that you've listened to.
Yep.
Anything. If there's other bands that you think we should hear, because we try to digest everything, but damn, we can't keep up with all these new bands. If there's anything that you think we should hear, let us know.
Yeah, send us a message or a comment even.
Put it on our Facebook or whatever. Some bands have contacted us saying, like, hey, listen to our album. We're happy to do so. We'll add it to the pile and, But any new bands that you think we should review or you think we should listen to, send them our way. And hopefully out of the 11 again, bands that we named, hopefully you go out and buy all 11.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, help support these bands because, they are new and they don't have a huge fan base yet. They are not Slayer or Metallica. But, to get them by, definitely help support them and show that they got some true fans out there.
Yeah, and I think we can both kind of speak for the fact a lot of these bands, actually, out of the bands we named, almost all of them, if not all of them, are European, which makes it kind of hard to get your hands on physical copies without spending an arm and a leg. So, a lot of times the best option, like Amazon MP3s or iTunes, anything like that, where you can get them for a reasonable price instead of paying $25 or $26 for the import.
Yeah.
Though we suggest you pay $25 or $26 for the import because it means a lot to us to own the stuff, and hopefully you do too.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for this time. We'll have some more lists compiled for you guys eventually. Keep an eye out for all the other stuff, interviews and whatnot.
Yep.
And we will return next week with your regularly scheduled podcast.
I'm not your buddy, guy.